If you want to become smarter, you have to look at the copy of life. World Survival Guide.
In Shanghai, someone offered 20 million RMB for a house. The owner didn't sell. He said, "Wait a little longer. Property prices will keep rising." 3 years later, the listing price of this house has dropped to 17 million RMB. It has been marked down 6 consecutive times. Still, nobody is buying. In just 3 short years, not only did he miss out on making an extra 3 million, he didn't even get a chance to exit. Stories like this are happening simultaneously in many Chinese cities. But what truly deserves attention is not that houses aren't selling. It is that those who used to be the most daring to spend, invest, and take risks have suddenly gone quiet. Luxury watches are no longer shown off. Luxury cars are no longer driven. Social gatherings have decreased. Investments have stopped. They haven't vanished. But it seems they all hit the pause button at the same time. What on earth happened? Over the past 2 years, several seemingly unrelated phenomena have appeared in China. The number of foreclosed properties keeps increasing. Luxury homes that were once highly sought after are now frequently seeing price cuts. Foot traffic in high-end shopping malls has visibly dropped. Luxury goods sales growth has slowed down. Entrepreneurs are speaking out publicly less and less. If you look at any of these phenomena in isolation, you can find an individual explanation for each. But if these things are happening at the same time, they are actually telling the exact same story. Someone is scaling back, and it's not ordinary people. It is the people who once stood at the top of the wealth pyramid. The question arises, have these people really run out of money? Not necessarily. Many still own properties, companies, and bank deposits. But they are starting to lose something else: confidence. Wenzhou, Zhejiang, a factory exporting shoe materials, the boss, Old Chen, has been doing this for over a decade. In 2019, his biggest worry was too many orders, not enough capacity. An American client ordered 8,000,000 pairs of shoes at once. The factory ran on 3 shifts a day. The warehouse was cleared out almost every single day. Back then, he bought a new car. His child enrolled in an international school. He was even planning to expand and add another production line. Then, changes began to appear. First, it was the orders. The American client cut the order from 8,000,000 pairs down to 300,000 pairs and demanded a price cut. For the first time, goods began to pile up in the warehouse. Next came the commercial properties. Previously, he collected a stable monthly rent of over 2,000 RMB. Later, tenants started negotiating for rent cuts. Some just walked away from their leases entirely. After that, a financial product he invested in delayed its payout. The money didn't disappear completely, but he couldn't get it out either. One day, he stood at the warehouse entrance. Looking at the shelves packed with goods, he said, "In the past, I was most afraid of not having enough orders to fulfill. Now, I am most afraid of making things that nobody buys." At that moment, he realized one thing: the era has changed, and it's not just him. Zooming out from Wenzhou, you will find similar changes happening across many industries. People in real estate find that houses are harder and harder to sell. People in catering find that customers are budgeting more carefully than ever. People in foreign trade find that orders are shifting to other countries. People in big tech find that growth is no longer the sole objective. Over the past 30 years, wealth growth in China followed a familiar logic: buy property, expand, leverage up, invest, seize the growth. That is how many people became rich. But now, more and more people are finding that the methods that worked in the past are slowly failing. Thus, the logic of wealth begins to change. In the past, everyone studied how to make more. Today, they study how to lose a bit less. This is also why many wealthy people have suddenly become low profile. It's not because they have no money. It's because risks have become increasingly difficult to judge. So here comes the question. These people are no longer investing, they are no longer spending. Where did the money go? Let's look at a phenomenon first. An electronics trade boss in Shenzhen last year, for the first time, put most of his profits into fixed-term bank deposits. He said, said, "In the past, I was most afraid of missing out on opportunities. Now, I am most afraid of stepping into traps." This mindset is becoming more and more widespread. More and more people are shifting funds from high-risk assets to cash and savings. Some funds are also starting to look for new exits. Some are allocating overseas assets. Some are researching overseas residencies or citizenships. Some are diversifying their family assets across different countries. No matter which path they choose, the underlying logic is exactly the same. It is not the pursuit of higher returns, but the pursuit of higher certainty. Many people are not looking for opportunities. They are buying a sense of security. If you live overseas, you might feel these changes are far away from you. In fact, they are not far at all. If you own property overseas, the shift in capital flows will affect market demand. If you still have assets in China, changes in real estate, consumption, and the employment environment will directly impact asset values. If you do cross-border business, changes in China's domestic demand will be reflected in your orders, collections, and profits. China remains one of the world's most important economies. Its changes will not stop within China eventually. They will ripple out to all parts of the world in some way. 3 years ago, what many people thought about was where to put money so it grows the fastest. Today, more and more people are thinking about where to put money so it is the safest. This is perhaps the truest reason behind the collective disappearance of China's wealthy. What has vanished is not wealth. What has vanished is that taken for granted optimism about the future. And when a society begins to shift from pursuing growth to pursuing safety, many things change along with it. Housing, consumption, investment, even the life choices of every individual. If you want to understand the logic behind these changes, welcome to subscribe. We don't predict the future here. We only record changes.